She took away my job, my peace, my confidence. But she made one mistake. She underestimated me. Hi, my name is Emily Carter. I live in San Diego, California. I'm not going to tell you my age because honestly, it doesn't matter. What matters is what happened to me and how I made sure it never happens to anyone else again. This is not just my story. This is my revenge. When I got the job at Aurelia Financial Group, it felt like my whole life had finally aligned. I had just moved to San Diego, excited to start fresh after graduating. The job wasn't glamorous. I wasn't a manager or even close. But it paid well, had great benefits, and most importantly, it gave me hope. Hope that I could build something, become something. My desk was near the window on the 12th floor. I remember that first week so vividly. I used to watch the palm trees swaying gently outside while sipping my mediocre coffee. I loved it. The people were nice, at least in the beginning. And then there was her. Melissa Green, the manager of our department. Always dressed in navy suits with sleek hair and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. At first, I admired her. She was everything I hoped to become: confident, in control, respected. But it didn't take long to realize that Melissa was not a leader. She was a controller, a manipulator. She didn't guide people. She ruled them through fear and favoritism. I stayed quiet. I followed the rules. I worked hard, stayed late, volunteered for projects no one wanted, even helped Melissa with her personal reports. I just wanted to be seen as someone valuable. For a while, it seemed to work. She complimented me during team meetings, told the director I was reliable, even took me out for coffee once and said, "You're one of the good ones, Emily." But all it took was one mistake, one small error in a spreadsheet formula to tear everything down. She didn't ask questions. She didn't care why it happened. She called me into her office on a rainy Wednesday morning and fired me. No notice, no warning, just a cold voice saying, "You're no longer a good fit here." I walked out with trembling hands, holding a cardboard box filled with my things. No goodbyes, no closure, just whispers behind me, like knives. That day broke something inside me, but it also lit a fire I didn't know I had. For days, I didn't get out of bed. My apartment felt like a prison cell. I kept replaying Melissa's words in my head. "You're no longer a good fit." I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Why didn't anyone stand up for me? Was I really that disposable? My savings started to dwindle. I canceled everything I could: streaming services, gym membership, even my favorite Friday pizza nights. I applied to dozens of jobs, but either got ghosted or rejected within hours. The world felt like it had forgotten me. And then, one evening, my phone buzzed. A text from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. "Hey, Em, I just heard. Are you okay?" It was Jake. Jake Thomas and I had gone to college together. We were never romantically involved, but we had a strong bond. Study buddies, pizza partners, stress-sharing allies during finals. I told him everything. I don't know why, it just spills out. All the hurt, the fear, the hopelessness. He didn't judge, he didn't offer cliches. He just said, "I believe in you, and I might have something that can help." Turns out, Jake had started his own digital branding agency. It was small, remote, and barely profitable, but it was his. And now he wanted me on board, not out of pity, but because he remembered how I used to help with his early designs, his proposals, and even built him a budgeting spreadsheet back in college. I hesitated, I felt broken, worthless, but Jake said one line I'll never forget. Melissa saw you as a threat, not a failure. Don't ever let someone's fear define your future. That night, I opened my dusty laptop, took a deep breath, and said yes. It wasn't a glamorous restart, but it was the beginning of something that no one, not even Melissa Green, could ever take away from me again. Working with Jake was like stepping into a whole new world. The corporate office with its rigid hours and fake smiles was gone. Now, my workdays began in pajamas, with coffee in hand and the freedom to breathe. But freedom didn't mean it was easy. I didn't know much about digital branding. I wasn't a designer. I wasn't a strategist. But what I was determined. Jake gave me small tasks, managing clients' invoices, writing email campaigns, researching trends. I devoured tutorials, YouTube courses, and free certifications. For hours every night, I studied how to write effective copy, how to build email funnels, even how to create a basic landing page. Slowly, Jake started giving me bigger projects. And slowly, I started gaining something I had lost the day Melissa fired me: confidence. Not everything went smoothly. Our first few client pitches failed miserably. One potential client ghosted us after 2 months of back and forth. There were nights I cried, nights I doubted if I was just running away from corporate life or actually building something worthwhile. Jake kept reminding me, growth is not a straight line. It's messy. It's real. We learned from each mistake. We started niching down, helping small wellness brands and coaches establish their online presence. We focused on honest communication, transparent pricing, and a human-first approach. And clients loved it. Within a year, we had 5 long-term clients and had doubled our revenue. I wasn't just an assistant anymore. I was partnering in strategy calls, writing full brand content, managing entire client journeys. The girl Melissa fired no longer existed. I was becoming something more. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was halfway through writing a newsletter campaign for a yoga brand when I saw it. An email from a company named Aurelia Financial Group. My heart stopped. I hadn't heard that name in nearly 3 years. I opened the email. It was from a junior marketing manager named Dylan, requesting a consultation call. They were exploring new digital branding partners to help modernize their public image. I blinked, rereading it 5 times. Was this real? Was fate playing with me? I checked the signature. Dylan James, marketing lead, Aurelia Financial Group. No mention of Melissa. No idea if she was still there. But suddenly, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not fear, not rage. Readiness. The game had come back to me, and this time, I was going to win. Jake and I scheduled the consultation call for Friday. I didn't tell him what Aurelia was to me, not yet. I needed to stay focused. That morning, I wore my best navy blue blazer. Not for them, but for me. I looked into the mirror and said, "You don't owe them fear anymore." As the Zoom meeting began, familiar faces started popping up. None of them Melissa. I exhaled. Then came Dylan, the marketing lead. Nice enough guy. Overwhelmed. Young. Probably unaware of the toxic legacy Melissa had created. He introduced the team, explained their goals, and asked if we had experience rebranding financial firms. I nodded calmly and said, Actually, I'm quite familiar with your company's internal culture and what needs to change. There was a pause. He raised an eyebrow. How so? I smiled, softly but deliberately. I used to work there. The air shifted. Someone else on the call coughed awkwardly. Dylan stammered, "Oh, I didn't know. I hope your experience was okay." I leaned forward slightly. It wasn't. But that's why I know exactly how to fix what's broken. Silence. And then Dylan said, "Let's talk numbers." And just like that, I knew. They needed me. 3 weeks into the project, we were knee-deep in strategy and audits. Jake handled analytics, I led content, and client-facing documents. Then one afternoon, Dylan messaged me, "Hey, we'll need Melissa's approval on the brand deck." My fingers froze on the keyboard. She's still there. She wasn't just still there. She was the senior VP now. The woman who had fired me in a 15-minute conversation had climbed higher. But this time, she wasn't going to see me as an employee. She would see me as a consultant, one they couldn't afford to lose. When the next meeting was scheduled with senior leadership, I knew she'd be there. So I prepared. Not with anger, not with revenge speeches. I prepared with facts, with confidence, with results. Because real power isn't loud. The Zoom camera flickered. There she was, Melissa Green. Same sharp suit, same thin smile, same cold eyes. But this time, she looked older, tired, like someone carrying too much weight. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. She didn't recognize me at first. She went through the agenda like a machine. And then halfway through my presentation on tone of voice positioning, her eyes narrowed. "Emily? Carter?" I nodded, calmly. Her lips tightened. "Didn't realize you were consulting with us." I replied, "A lot has changed in the last few years." She didn't speak again for the rest of the call, but her eyes never left me. The next few weeks were fascinating. Melissa tried to control the flow, offered passive-aggressive suggestions, even scheduled separate follow-ups, excluding me. But Dylan and the other team members trusted me. They praised my work. They implemented my strategies. They followed my lead. Slowly, she started losing control. At one point, she emailed Jake directly, suggesting they bring someone more aligned with Aurelia's tone. Jake forwarded me the email. I didn't reply. Our results were doing the talking. Their web traffic improved by 47%. Their bounce rate dropped. Their brand sentiment improved on LinkedIn and Glassdoor. The CEO himself complimented the rebrand. I knew the day would come soon when Melissa would have to look at me not as a junior assistant, but as the expert who rebuilt the image she had destroyed. It happened during a strategy wrap-up call. The CEO himself, Mr. Raymond Hale, joined in. He'd been following our progress quietly. After hearing our latest reports and future roadmap, he paused and said, "We're impressed, Emily. Really impressed. Have you ever considered joining us full-time as Director of Brand Strategy?" My stomach twisted. Join Aurelia again? The company that once threw me away like garbage? I kept my voice even. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Hale, but I built something of my own now. I'm not looking for employment. I'm looking to create legacy." He smiled. "Then let's talk partnership, equity, shared leadership." Melissa's camera was off the entire call, but I imagined her sitting stiff, fuming, her hands clenched. And I realized something. I didn't just want a seat at the table anymore. I wanted the table itself. Later that night, I told Jake everything. He listened silently, arms crossed, sipping cold coffee. Then he said, "Are you doing this to build something bigger or just to crush Melissa?" I hesitated. I wanted to say both, but the truth, I didn't know anymore. He continued, "Just remember, if you rise only to destroy someone else, they still own a piece of you." His words hit me hard. Was I truly free, or still chained to the past I claimed to have moved on from? I slept restlessly that night, but by morning, I had made a decision. I drafted a proposal, a bold one. Aurelia could license our rebranding system long term. We'd train their in-house team. In return, we'd get a 7-figure contract with residuals. I also included a final clause. All creative oversight would remain under our agency, not under any internal executive. Translation: Melissa would have zero say. When the board reviewed it, they loved it. Raymond Hill signed immediately. And just like that, we weren't vendors anymore. We were partners. Melissa didn't speak to me again. A week later, I heard through Dylan. She resigned. No drama, no final fight, just silence and defeat. I never confronted her, never called her out, no angry emails, no bitter speeches. She walked out of the same building she once pushed me out of. And I walked back in as a founder, a leader, a woman who rebuilt herself. That's the thing about revenge. The best kind isn't loud. It's quiet power, a power that doesn't scream, it simply exists. After Melissa left, I walked into the same office floor I once cried leaving. Everything was different. New furniture, new energy, even some new faces. But it wasn't the surroundings that had changed. It was me. I sat in the executive meeting, leading presentations, guiding branding philosophy, and mentoring interns, something Melissa never did. I didn't want to become her. I wanted to become what I never had, a leader who listens, who uplifts, who protects. One day, I got an anonymous email. Just one line. "You won. I hope it feels better than it did for me." There was no name, but I knew it was her. I didn't reply. Because the truth is, this wasn't about winning anymore. It was about healing. And I had already found my peace. We launched an initiative at our agency, a mentorship program for young professionals, especially those recovering from workplace trauma. I shared my story, not to shame, but to inspire. Every week, I mentored at least 2 women struggling with toxic bosses or shattered confidence. And each time I told them, "You're not weak, you're just beginning." Because if I could rise from a cardboard box on a rainy day, so can they. One day, Jake and I stood outside the new office building we bought together. It wasn't massive, but it was ours. He looked at me and said, "Can you believe it started with one email? From a broken girl who had lost everything?" I laughed. "No, Jake. It started with a broken girl who still had one thing left: fire." My name is Emily Carter. I was once fired by a woman who thought I'd never recover. Today, I run one of the fastest growing branding agencies in California. I didn't just survive, I rebuilt. And to anyone out there feeling worthless because of someone else's cruelty, remember this. You're not weak. You're waiting to become unstoppable. And your revenge doesn't have to be cruel. It just has to be complete. This was Emily's story, but maybe it felt like your story too. If you've ever been underestimated, discarded, or made to feel small, remember this. The best revenge isn't rage, it's rising. Thanks for watching Revenge Room. Got a story you want to hear next? A theme you want us to explore? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay strong and stay watching.